My extensive knowledge of Greek mythology and its heroes can all be accredited to one author. I'd like to speak about Rick Riordan, the author of the Percy Jackson series, as well as many other sequels and spin-offs. I'd love to discuss him and how he came up with his stories and all the effects that they've had on me and kids like me. Why did I choose Rick Riordan to speak about today? Well, first off, I grew up with his writing. I was introduced to it in 2011 and I immediately became obsessed. The mixing of American culture with Greek mythology was very fascinating to me. And also, the characters in his book are quite relatable. Most of the characters in his universe live with ADHD, dyslexia, or both, as it's a defining trait of demigods according to his series. Though I was not officially diagnosed with ADHD, autism spectrum disorder is often comorbid and shares symptoms. As such, I could relate to the struggles of some of the characters and can surprisingly relate to having half-siblings. How did Riordan come around to making the Percy Jackson series? Well, it started out as a bedtime story. Rick first worked as a middle school history and English teacher. His son, who also ironically is named Haley, with the same spelling as my name, had a rough time in school as he was struggling with his newly diagnosed ADHD and dyslexia. One of the ways that Rick could get his son interested in learning was by using Greek myths. He eventually ran out of ones to tell him, and so he began making his own. He then looked to his students to see if they would be interested in it as he came up with the idea to publish it. He'd already had experience in publishing since he'd been writing an adult novel series for years now, but he had to quit the teaching job as he couldn't write 2 series at once and continue his day job of teaching. He's most certainly not finished yet. He's written 3 of those children's series and is continuing with 2 more. He's also created the concept and the story arc for the 39 Clues series and wrote the first book as it transfers authors each book. He's also endorsing a lot more writers with different backgrounds with the Rick Riordan Presents installments. Each one of these series pulls from different mythologies and folklore, including, to this day, African, Mesopotamian, Native American, Korean, and more.